Welcome to the AutoCAD Sheet Set Manager webinar. My name is Matt Kolberg, and I'll be your host today. Looks like we have 14 people in attendance. Thank you very much. So let's begin with the Sheet Set Manager. Why are we here? Well, we're here to learn what the Sheet Set Manager can do for you. We've got an hour or so. We may not use the entire hour, but after the time we have together today, you will understand, hopefully, how you may be able to leverage the Sheet Set Manager to help you in your day-to-day. Sheet Set overview. I teach the Sheet Set Manager quite often. I like to break it down into three separate sort of buckets, if you will. Number one is file organization and printing. Number two is data sharing and fields. And number three is details and callouts. So number one, file organization and printing. Have a look at that folder structure right there. That's a lot of subfolders. You've probably seen something maybe not that severe in your network, but you know that there could be a lot of subfolders. Sometimes finding GDWG files and other files is challenging in that kind of folder structure. So one thing the Sheet Set Manager can do for you is to simplify finding those DWGs and being able to print them. So in this section, I'll talk about the anatomy of a sheet set, how to manage them, and what publish and e-transmit can give you with the Sheet Set Manager, or SSM, if you prefer. So what is the Sheet Set Manager? It's a database. It's a file called the DST file that is saved separate from your AutoCAD files. You've got your DWGs, and then you have this DST file. The DST is just a really small file. It's a database, and really it just contains pointers to your DWGs. And more specifically, it contains pointers to paper space layouts within those DWGs. It also contains other metadata, information about the project, maybe project number, project name, customer address, that kind of thing. You organize your paper space layouts, aka sheets, in the Sheet Set Manager. So the second image here, that one, this is where my sheet set is organized. The DWGs or the paper space layouts within those DWGs that will be printed for your set of sheets. Right here, the first sheet is the cover sheet, pretty typical. The master plan, we have 4 existing conditions planned to begin with, and then some site grading, and then whatever else happens after that. And then we can publish and e-transmit directly from that Sheet Set Manager. Now, you probably already know the AutoCAD publish command. You hit it, you choose the sheets you'd like to publish, and away you go. It's pretty similar, except with the Sheet Set Manager, those sheets are already preset, predefined, and there's other data that goes along with it. So let me just do a quick demo for you. Here's AutoCAD. This is the Sheet Set Manager. The command to open the Sheet Set Manager is SSM, Sheet Set Manager. I do not have a sheet set open yet, but I will open one. I've got one that's blank. It's called Start. Oh, that's not the blank one. There it is. This is a blank sheet set. Nothing to publish. I mean, I've got the publish command here. There's no sheets in here yet, but let's have a look at what you can do, or the things that you can set within this. There's the name. That doesn't really show up anywhere in publish. That's the description, same thing. Model view. Here's an example of some of the information that you can store within a sheet set. Project number, project name, phase, and milestone. These are out-of-the-box properties. We can create additional custom properties as well. There are no custom properties set in this sheet set, but the other sheet set I'll show you will have some. That's the basics. Managing sheets. So how do you add a sheet? Well, I'm just going to save this drawing just because I can. Where to? I'll call it new sheet. This DWG currently has 2 paper space layouts. I'll go into layout 1 and maybe I'll rename it. I'll call this plan view. Save the drawing. And one way to add the sheet to the set is to simply drag it and drop it right into the Sheet Set Manager. And that's my new sheet within the manager. So again, a sheet within the Sheet Set Manager is a pointer to a paper space layout in a drawing someplace. Right? This drawing has 2 paper space layouts. That would be 2 sheets. Another drawing might have 5. That would be 5 more sheets. So a sheet is a paper space layout in a drawing someplace. That's our sheet. Now, what about that whole organization thing? Well, I'm going to close the drawing here. In fact, I'm going to switch to my other sheet set, which is this one. This one has a bunch of sheets already configured in it. Imagine you're a new employee and someone asks you to open up sheet 17 and print it. Imagine you didn't have this, because I can see sheet 17 right there at the bottom. It says 17 right beside it. But imagine you didn't have that. You're a new employee and you're like, well, I don't know where sheet 17 is. At the very least, the person who asked you that maybe gave you the path to the network folder. So at least you know where to sort of find it on the server. But there's a bunch of drawing names with weird names called plan and profile or whatever. No drawing says sheet 17. So you just end up opening a bunch of drawings until you finally find one that says sheet 17, and now you've used up a bunch of time. How do they use the Sheet Set Manager? I see the sheet 17 right there. And I can just double click it right here in the Sheet Set Manager, and sheet 17 is going to open. I make my edits. Once it's open, the Sheet Set Manager doesn't do anything. It's a mechanism to help you open that file quickly and efficiently. Far more efficient than going into Windows File Explorer and attempting to open it that way. And so that's opening. You don't have to go into File Explorer. All those sheets are located here. What if you need to open an XREF, let's say? There's a sheet that you know happens to have an XREF. Well, this part of the Sheet Set Manager, the model views, does a couple things. One, it deals with callouts and their views. But another is just you can configure a folder and it'll show you all the drawings in that folder. So think of this as just another way to access files in a folder, right? That's my folder. SSM, sheet set sample, all these files live inside that folder. Is this any different from Windows File Explorer? Not really, except I'm only able to see DWGs and DWTs in here. So it gives you a little better mechanism for navigating your folders. Publish, like I mentioned earlier, I can publish what this is called a subset. Right? All the existing conditions plans are in one subset. I can publish that subset. I can go to the very top and publish the entire thing to DWF or PDF or the printer or whatever you want to publish to. Same thing with eTransmit. You know, if you don't know what eTransmit is, I recommend to look it up. Here's the story about what eTransmit is if you don't know. Here's the scenario. You are the owner of a bunch of drawings. and I am the sub-consultant. I ask you to send me a drawing, and you do. And I open it up, and there's not much in it. And I realize it's missing an XREF. So I call you back, say, hey, I think you should have attached the XREF to the email. And you're like, oh yeah, all right. Forgot about that, yes. I'll send the XREF, I'll send the images, I'll send the SHX files, maybe because you have custom line types. See, sending a DWG isn't always just about that DWG. There are often references, XREFs, images, SHX files, CTB files, that kind of thing. So that's what eTransmit does. You open a drawing, run the eTransmit tool, and it zips everything together into one zip file. And then you won't get that phone call from me asking to send me an XREF that you forgot. But that's one drawing at a time. With the Sheet Set Manager, I can eTransmit the entire set all at once. So you do the eTransmit, anyone who you send it to will be able to print. You will not get that phone call. One more thing you can do with publish is you can exclude sheets. So you can say, this is part of the sheet set, but I don't want to print this one or two sheets for whatever reason. I'm not going to call it rare, but it doesn't happen to me very often. But sometimes it makes sense not to publish one or two sheets. So, of course, that's Tony Stark. Well, it's not Tony Stark. Why is it? Anyways, that's the look that you get as a draftsperson when the engineer says, oh, let's add a brand new sheet to our 100 sheet set. And by the way, put it at the very beginning. Right, so you have 100 sheets. Now you have 101 sheets, and the new sheet is now sheet 1 or sheet 2. Okay, as the drafter, you get that look because now you have to go and open all 100 sheets, go to the title block where it says sheet 2 of 100, and you have to name all these things. Sheet 2 becomes sheet 3, sheet 10 becomes sheet 11, and that now has to be changed to 101. So you as the draftsperson get that look when you're faced with this. You have to open up all 100 sheets and just do it manually. The Sheet Set Manager will automate this and more. By the way, if I didn't mention it, I did type it in the chat window, but because we have enough attendees, we can't unmute people's mics. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A panel. And at the end of the presentation, I will endeavor to answer them. Sorry about that. So step number 2, or phase number 2 in your Sheet Set Manager implementation is data sharing and fields. We'll talk about fields that are preset. We'll talk about properties that are custom. We use those fields in our title block and we'll automate some attributes. So preset and custom properties. I already showed you this project number. Those are properties that are native to the Sheet Set Manager. We have some Sheet Set custom properties here. Civil engineer address, that kind of thing. And these properties are used by your title block attributes. Now, those are fields. Let's go to the next page. See, AutoCAD has something called fields. Let me just show you something real quick, which you may or may not know. I'll create just a quick polyline that's going to be closed. I'll place a piece of M text, big enough so you can see, right there. I'm just going to type the word area. Now, I would like the area of that polygon to show in this piece of text. Now, I could just measure the area of it and type it in, and that would be fine, but it's not going to be dynamic. So a field, we're not talking sheet sets yet, but a generic field could be anything. In this case, I'm selecting an object and I'm grabbing whatever property of that object I want. because the field is located in this M text. When that object is edited and I run the regen command, that field will update. So a field is an embedded entity within M text or within an attribute that gets its information from somewhere else. And this field gets its information from the area of that. Back a second here. The sheet set, sorry, the title block attributes get their information from somewhere else. Right? There's the project name right here, and it's getting its information from that information embedded in the sheet set. And guess what? All 101 of my sheets are configured the same way. Whatever you see gray behind a piece of text, that means it's a field. And so it's getting its information from somewhere else. So these are all fields getting their information from the Sheet Set Manager. And so when something has to change, like this, the sheet number, number 1 of 101. Well, maybe it's number 2 of 102 now. I just configure the 101. I just change it in one place. There it is, total number of sheets right there. I change it in one place. I open up those 102 sheets or 101 sheets. Bam, instantly that value has now just been updated. Change it once, it's updated for all 100 sheets. That's the benefit of using these fields with the Sheet Set Manager. I've had customers do this. They're using the same technique, but not with the Sheet Set Manager. You may have heard of something called GDWG props or GDWG properties. With any DWG, you can configure custom properties. And this is actually quite similar to the Sheet Set Manager. But the problem is these properties are only good for any paper space layout in this one DWG file. So if you have 100 sheets, you'd have to have 100 paper space layouts. Now, I don't know about you, but managing 100 paper space layouts in a single DWG is an onerous task. So I'd rather not do it. So this is an okay workaround. But once you get to understand how the Sheet Set Manager works, it's similar, but I can work with multiple sheets. And the Sheet Set Manager gives me a bunch of other cool things I can do as well. So there's the generic fields. There's some sheet set fields, right? I showed you the area field. These fields are specifically categorized by the sheet set itself. You know, is it a custom? It's the sheet description. It's the current sheet number. It's the current sheet revision date. These are all just sheet set fields that can be used with your sheet set. And then those values get plugged into the title block attributes as you see fit. How's our time? Oh, we're good. Now, the best thing you can do is just edit your title block to make these things automated. So the title block itself, you're going to edit its definition. Go into the block editor, find your attribute definitions, and insert default values. And then the default values come from the out-of-the-box sheet set fields. What's the current sheet title? What's the current sheet number? What's the project name? What's the milestone? All the stuff that goes into your title block. When you set those up in your block definition as default values, the very second you insert that title block into a sheet that has been configured with the Sheet Set Manager, all those values just automatically populate themselves. You never have to do anything. I haven't double-clicked an attribute in a title block in years because my title blocks are all set up with the Sheet Set Manager. When they come in, all those values, project number, total number of sheets, current sheet number, automatically get filled in for me from the Sheet Set Manager. Never ever have to double click anything. And then when it changes, I change it in one place in the Sheet Set Manager. Those 100 sheets automatically fill in. Love it. Details and callouts. This is phase number 3. And you might be wondering why I sort of split this up into 3 different, let's call them chapters. Because if you're thinking about implementing the Sheet Set Manager, when you think about this whole thing, all of the stuff that it can do, it might be a bit daunting, confusing, this brand new thing. How do I get to these details and callouts? So the reason I do this is because it's very easy to implement the Sheet Set Manager in stages, just to get your feet wet. You know, use the Sheet Set Manager to organize your files, print, and e-transmit. There's not really much you have to do. It takes a few seconds to create a sheet set, but it's going to make your life easier in terms of opening files, publishing, and e-transmitting. Then when you get comfortable, you can go to the next step. Start using fields in your title blocks so that you don't have to be the one to have to open up 100 files and double click an attribute. And once you're comfortable with that, then you can go on to phase 3, which is details and callouts, which I'm going to talk about. I see a question in the questions panel from Malcolm Lister. Question is, what happens if the drawing location or path changes? Can it do a mass update? So yeah, Malcolm, you actually don't have to do anything. If you move the DWGs and the sheet set as a package, as long as the folder, the relative paths in the folder remain the same, you move the sheet set, you move all the drawings to a whole other place, nothing has to be done. The Sheet Set Manager looks at the relative path for the sheet set DST file and the DWGs, and everything's just managed. If you move stuff around that is not relative paths, then it might have a problem with it. But yeah, if you move everything or change a drive letter or change the folder name, it's still going to work just fine. So hopefully that answered your question, Malcolm. Okay, details and callouts. That look right there, the OMG look, that's the look that the drafter gets, or maybe not the drafter, maybe it's the contractor, for example. When they go to a sheet and it says, see sheet 17 for details, and then he flips the sheet 7 here, she flips the sheet 17, and it's not a detail sheet. Okay, well, now, where's detail A? And now he's got to look around and finally finds detail A on sheet 22. Okay, that's a callout. When you see something that says, see sheet 27, detail F, that's a callout. Well, what happens when sheet 27 becomes sheet 30? Or what happens if detail F becomes detail 6? Well, and then how many drawings is that called out on? You as a drafter, when sheet 22 changes to sheet 23, you have to do your diligence and go through all the drawings to find those callouts so you can just change 22 to 23. And so that's the look that you get when something falls down in that case. The Sheet Set Manager can handle that as well. We'll talk about uses, something called drawing and sheet views, and how to briefly configure to be able to use those things. So here's the deal. There's detail A, the cul-de-sac detail. That's the detail page. It is sheet 100. Image on the right, that is the callout. See sheet 100, detail A. Like I said, what if sheet 100 becomes 102? You have, as the drafter, need to look for this and manually change 100 to 102 on any sheet that it shows up on. Now inside AutoCAD, I'm going to open up a sheet with a detail on it. There it is, sheet 100. This one currently does not have any details in it. The detail that I would like to add is on a drawing called EX41, right there. Now, if I were to open that file, which I could just double click it, it's going to open that file. This has detail in it. Now, what I've done is I've created some views, one in particular called cul-de-sac. This is my cul-de-sac view. If you don't know what a view is, you should probably learn that one too. E-transmit, learn that one, and AutoCAD Views, learn that one too, because AutoCAD Views are, at their basic, they're just ways to zoom to different parts of your drawing. By the way, enter V, that's the command for view. I can make any of these. These are the two views that I've created. I can make them current, and it zooms to that area. Or I can use the drawing button here and zoom to that area there. So that's what AutoCAD Views are as they pertain to AutoCAD itself. When you invoke the Sheet Set Manager, the model views, that's the drawing, and these are the two views that are saved within that drawing. So that's the key to using this tool. You have to create those views. Right? I'll come back to that in a second. There's the views I was talking about. That's what it looks like in the Sheet Set Manager. That's where the view is in that base file. In the detail sheet, that's what it's going to look like. That's the view, and then that's the view title, it's called. So let me show you how to make that happen. I need to go to the detail sheet first. Now, just to show you, I have nothing up my sleeve, right? This is not a card trick, although it sounds like it the way I'm talking. There are no XREFs attached to this drawing. That's my XREF manager. There are currently no XREFs. There's nothing in model space, nothing at all. My goal is to put that view right here, the cul-de-sac. Okay, so there's the view. There's the drawing that the view lives in. There's the view that I created. I'll right-click it and I will choose Place on Sheet. And what AutoCAD is doing in the background, it's going into model space and it's just XREF'd that EX41 drawing into model space. After it does that, I'm going to get a little preview of that view here in paper space. So it's going to take a few seconds because maybe that drawing's a little bigger than I want, or maybe maybe Zoom is causing some performance issues with my computer, which it does. Normally this happens a little faster. Come on. All right, well, while it's thinking, I'm going to go back here. Oh, I think it did something. Okay, there it is. It's awfully large right now. It's not going to fit on the sheet. So I right-click and I choose my appropriate scale. Maybe ½ inch equals a foot. Is that big enough? Ah, look at that. That is going to be the size of my viewport, everybody, at that scale. ½ inch equals a foot, ¼ inch equals a foot. That's too small. I think I like the ½ inch equals a foot. So before it's placed, I get to choose the scale and I get to see roughly, well, exactly how big it's going to be on my sheet. And then I place it. So again, to reiterate what just happened, I chose the view. I said add to sheet. The Sheet Set Manager automatically XREF'd that DWG into model space and placed this viewport at the right scale and put a title block. That's not whatever the word is, a call out or a view title, that is, with the appropriate name, cul-de-sac, and the scale. Those are fields. If I change the scale, if I change the name, these will update themselves. The only thing I don't have is the detail number. I want that to be called detail A. Well, that's when I go to Sheet View. This piece of the Sheet Set Manager handles callouts and details. That's the callout I have. But I haven't named it yet, or I haven't numbered it yet. Just like your sheets, sheet 6, sheet 7, sheet 8, we have to number these in the Sheet Set Manager. You don't have to do that in your title block. You do it in the Sheet Set Manager. It's the title block that reads the 100 from the sheet set. So that's your sheet number. I want to deal with this detail number or view number. So there is my view. I'll just renumber it. Call it detail A, or just A. Didn't show up, I just have to regen, and there it is. Excuse me. So if that's all the Sheet Set Manager would do, that's still pretty good, but it does one more pretty cool thing. I'm just going to open this guy right here, because this is where I want to place that call out block. You know, C sheet A, sorry, C sheet 100 detail A. Actually, you know what? I don't want that one. I want another one. Let's see, what about master plan? Yeah, this will work better. So my cul-de-sac is right there. So rotate it a little bit. I would like to put that call out block here. No problem. There's my sheet view. I'll ask it to place a call out block. I've called it call out bubble. By the way, you're not limited to a single call out block. You can choose from multiple if you have configured them, which I have not. Call out bubble. Zoom out a little bit. Bang, there it is. Detail A, sheet 100. Let me just demonstrate, I know you believe me, but you know, I just want to show you. My detail sheet, I've got to go in paper space here. My detail sheet is currently sheet 100. I would like to change it to sheet 102, just for fun. In fact, I'm going to change the total number of sheets to 102 as well. Please, for the love of God, do not do it here. Do not double click that, because you will destroy the automation. If I need to change that, I do it in the Sheet Set Manager. So sheet 100, the detail sheet. I'll right click it and I'll renumber it. I'll call this 102. 102. That's the sheet. Now the total number of sheets is actually a custom property for the sheet set itself. So that I change at the sheet set level. I'll find the custom property called total number of sheets. There it is, 102. And all that needs to happen is just a regen. Voila. Those have changed. And just to prove it to you again, I'll open up some other random sheet and you will see that it will be numbered of 102 as well. That said 101 30 seconds ago. And I guarantee you, if I had 100 sheets here, I open up all 100, they would all say 102 here as well. So that's pretty much stage 3 of the Sheet Set Manager. The callouts, the paper space layouts and details. The only thing that you need to do is configure your blocks. Okay, there's 2 blocks that you have to configure. The layout block, that's this, and the actual callout block, that's that. Just open the block in the block editor. Make sure you have a couple of attributes and use something called placeholders down here at the bottom left. That one's called the view title. This one is called the view number, and that one is just called the whatever the current number of the sheet is. So not too difficult to configure your blocks and attributes to be of some use with the Sheet Set Manager, but it has to be done. And then once it's done, within the sheet set itself, you have to tell it which block to use for the callout, which block to use for the label block. Once that's all configured, well, now you can leverage the sort of phase 3 of the Sheet Set Manager implementation. And that, my friends, is essentially what the Sheet Set Manager can give you. Let me recap for you. Oh, I see a question in the chat panel from John Doe. I wonder if that's your real name. How did the detailed title get automatically added when you created the view on the detail sheet? Oh, says, oh, never mind, you just answered it. Yes, so there you go, John. There's your answer. Good, so let me recap. Phase number 1, organization and publish. Really, really easy to implement the Sheet Set Manager just for that. It takes just a couple seconds. Drop your sheets in there, double click them to open it, right click to publish. Really easy to learn. Phase 2 is liberal use of fields. Set up some properties in the Sheet Set Manager itself, or the sheet set itself, such as project name, project number, total number of sheets, that kind of thing. Apply those values to your title block using fields, so that when you change it in the Sheet Set Manager, all 100 sheets that value propagates to all 100 sheets instantly. And then the third phase is what I like to just call the callout phase. Configure your blocks, the label block and the callout block. Set your sheet set to use those two blocks. Use AutoCAD Views so that you can automatically insert those views onto your detail sheet. And then just start making your views and callouts. So the Sheet Set Manager is going to save you some time, and it's going to save you from potential mistakes, especially that phase 3 thing, right? I was a drafter for 13 years, and it's conceivable when you're creating callouts, when drawing numbers change, you have to look for those callouts. You got to look through all the sheets. Where does it say? See sheet 17 detail A, and then you have to edit those values. So it's going to save you time, and arguably better, it's going to help you avoid making mistakes. I see another question. From Mario, good presentation. Oh, thank you very much. Learned a bunch after 20 years of using AutoCAD. Thought the Sheet Set Manager was really only for publishing. Yeah, it's definitely more than just publishing. So Mario, hopefully I pronounced your name right, Mauro. Hopefully you can use it. One more thing before we call it a day. Oh, he also asks, will this be available for rewatching? Yeah, all of our webinars will be available on the SolidCAD YouTube channel in a day or two, where you can watch it again at your leisure. But before we sign off, let me show you this one thing right here. That is a document created by a woman named Heidi Hewitt. She is or was an Autodesk employee. Back when the Sheet Set Manager was first released or first given to us, she wrote this Sheets Happen file. All you got to do to find it is do a Google, sheets_happen.pdf, and you will find it. So I'm just going to download it real quick here. This is probably the 40th time I've downloaded it, but that's okay. I'm just going to open it real quick, replace it. It's already there. Let's open it up. This is absolutely free. And it is several pages, 48 pages to be precise. It is one of the best resources for the Sheet Set Manager, and it happens to be free. There are no sample files that go with it, but it talks about everything I just talked about. In fact, it talks about it in the 3 phases as well. What is the Sheet Set Manager? How do you work with it? Creating sheet sets, creating sheet views, that kind of thing. If you're looking to get into this thing, highly recommend downloading that thing. Sheets_happen.pdf on Google. You will find it. It's going to be the first thing. It's just a PDF. Download it. Takes a second. It's a great resource. There are other resources on YouTube and blogs and various other things. Those are great as well. This is a great place to get started. So it doesn't look like there's any questions anymore. I answered them both live. So hopefully I answered your questions. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So it is about 11 minutes after. We're definitely a bit early. I'll stay logged in for a few more minutes in case there's any more questions. But from SolidCAD, my name is Matt Kolberg. Thanks for your time. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Bye-bye. Oh, sorry. I hate when I do this. If you need help with this thing, of course, we are there to help you. I've done Sheet Set Manager implementations many, many times. To avoid yourself struggling with it, definitely look us up. Maybe in a few hours we can get you going. So talk to your local SolidCAD rep and we can get involved. There's lots of us at SolidCAD who understand this tool and we can help you with it. So thanks again. My name is Matt Kolberg. I'll see you at the next webinar. So Mauro asked a question about the parametric title blocks. Are they the stock ones that come with Civil 3D? And the answer is no. The files that I showed today, including the sheet set itself, is directly from the AutoCAD sample folder. I'm just going to try to find it for you here. So this is the C program files, Autodesk, AutoCAD 2021, or whatever version you happen to be on. And if I go to sample, there's the sheet set folder, and there's 3 different samples, depending on what you want. Architectural sample, civil, manufacturing. I use the civil sample, and these are the same drawings that I just showed you today. And so I'm just going to paste this into the chat window so that you have it. You just change 2021 to your version of AutoCAD and you'll find them. These were samples for pretty much the entire time since this version, or sorry, since this tool was given to us in, I think, 2008. We still have 2 attendees logged in, John Doe and Mauro. No new questions, but if you have, no new questions I see, that is, you can feel free to ask them. If you have more questions, definitely find your local SolidCAD rep and they can get in touch with us. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you very much for your time. So long, everybody.